British study shows that a staggering 6 out of 10 widowed people will see, hear or sense their lost loved one. Now, this story has a psychiatrist kind of explaining it away by saying, well, you get used to the routine. It'd be unusual if you didn't somehow figure they were part of your day. However, Janine Louise is a medium and may well have a different take on this. Why do widowed people see their lost loves? Hello, Janine. Thank you for coming on the program.
Oh, hi, Mike. How are you? Good, thank you.
What's your take on this?
Wow. Okay, so I see a lot of people that come in with these experiences. Two reasons. If we look at the spiritual sense, absolutely the energy is still very much around. So quite often it's there. We want them to be there. So loved ones that pass want to still sometimes be with their family members that are left behind, especially if they're grieving, so very deeply. So they will show themselves quite often, and I've seen that time and time again. The other reason is that the one that is left behind, we want that. We want to see them. So quite often, in some cases, and I don't believe it's a delusion, but in some cases people will think it's a delusion. They'll think that because they're used to seeing them there all the time, that they want them to be there, so they will, think it's an imaginary thing.
So they somehow projected them into their favourite chair or working in the garden or over the sink or wherever they're used to seeing them. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
So is this a bit like the Haley Joel Osment film? What was that? He said, I see dead people. What was that called? I've forgotten. But
Sixth Sense?
Sixth Sense, yeah, you're right.
Yep.
So I suppose, linchpin of that particular story was, according to the kid, the dead people didn't want to admit they're dead. Is that going on here, do you think?
In some cases, people that pass in quite extraordinary circumstances, so, not by illness, like it could be a freak accident or, pass suddenly, where they kind of feel, that their time is not at that point. Yes, they don't want to feel. In an experience I had just a little while ago where a young boy actually passed in a freak accident not even 2 weeks after his 18th birthday, and his parents come to see me, and he connected with me very fast, which is quite unusual because normally it would take a little while for their energy to kind of settle. Now that boy has appeared to me several times since then, sending messages to his mum and dad, which is quite ironic because it's just one of those outstanding kind of experiences that I have. It doesn't happen all the time. But this young boy is adamant about staying near his family. He wants to be there. So even with me, him coming into my home and into my energy, it's a very unusual thing. But in his case, I have to say, yes, he doesn't. His accident was very. This young boy was very fit and knew how to swim, and just one of those things that he got caught out in a rip and passed, and it was just unlikely for it to happen. So he believes that.
Does he feel cheated? Does he feel cheated?
To a certain degree, yeah, because he had all of that. He was a phenomenal swimmer. He was in the Surf Life Club. This was something that, kind of a bit like Steve Irwin, he knew his stuff, yet he had passed via a stingray sting. And it's just one of those freak accidents where you just don't think it's going to happen to that person. So this young particular boy, yes, he was very well known in his area and very well liked, and he was very popular, and this was just so out of character for him to have been taken out by a rip and taken and drowned. And so for him, he's not ready. He's not ready to cross over yet. He wants to stay with his family, and that's his choice. He can choose that. Quite often they've rung me and said, Janina, we've seen him again, and he's done this and he's done that, and they've told me the pictures have moved, or there was a medal in their bedroom where the medal had sort of dropped, and it was in his room, and that it was not in a place where it could have dropped, or they would come in and find the curtains open in his bedroom because he used to love having the sunlight in, where they know they close the curtains. So just these kind of experiences that they're experiencing. And, look, for someone who has lost somebody, for them it's comforting. For them it's, I'm really grateful that I get to experience that still, and especially if a parent loses a child or somebody loses a loved one, for them it's a comfort to know that they're still around the house and that, they know that they still want to be with them. Just remember, it's the spirit, it's that soul's choice as to whether or not they want to stay around or whether they want to move on.
One final point here. According to this study, people report visions, voices, tactile sensations, smells, something we call a sense of presence, not necessarily related to any of the five senses. This is what I think is interesting. They remember involuntarily, and, for example, not while somebody is deliberately remembering. So it's not like you're sitting there in a quiet moment thinking, I wish, he, she was still with me. It'll just happen out of the blue.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. Because quite often a person that's in grievance or grieving, they'll sometimes they actually don't, they want it so badly that they don't see it. They don't feel it. They're not allowing it. And I will say to them, they'll come to me and they'll say, I can't feel them, I can't see them. And I'm like, honey, it's because you're wanting it so much, so you're not just allowing. Just let it go and don't ask for it so much, and it'll happen when you least expect it. And 99% of the time, that's when it occurs. It's when you're relaxed and you're open, that you're not wanting or trying to control seeing them, that that's when it comes. It's when you least expect it, and that's generally the most powerful of experiences that you have. It heightens the experience.
Janine,
so, absolutely.
Thank you very much for that.
You're very welcome.
Thanks for coming on the program. Janine Louise. Janine's a medium.